Good morning. It's Michelle Allen of A Sharp Photo, the one and only plus size certified photographer in the world. So, I wanted to talk to you today about how you can get the most out of your photo shoots. There's one thing that I see every now and then. If you know, there's a site. It's like a social media site for models and photographers and creatives. And what I'll see on there every now and then is I'll see a model and she'll have one outfit on in one location, and there'll be like 50 pictures. And that just smacks of being an amateur. Is there anything wrong with being an amateur? No. I mean, how you gonna move forward, right? You got to start somewhere, but you never want to look like an amateur. And that word amateur has the connotation of you not knowing what you're doing. So, and this works for photographers as well as models, right? Because it's the model's images, but the photographer did it. So the photographer is either an amateur as well or lazy, which is bad either way, right? So here's one really easy way, and this is what I normally do when I do photo sessions. So I never like to have one environment, and that's easily remedied. So I am not a studio shooter. I kind of cut my teeth on shooting on location. So that's kind of what I prefer, but this will always also work in the studio, and I'll tell you how. All right. So let's say you shoot on location, like I did a shoot at a beach, right? So I shot under the pier, I shot along the beach, and then I shot the other way where you're kind of seeing the buildings and things like that. Like you didn't even see the water, you kind of saw the sand and what was going on the other way. So even though it was all done at the beach, it's apparent it breaks it up, and depending on how different the surroundings are, it's even up for debate whether or not those shoots were done all on the same day. All right. The other thing is I normally make sure that the model I'm shooting with has, I tell them to bring a whole lot, right? Because I like to pick. But if I can, I'll shoot 3 to 5 looks. So then you have 3 to 5 looks in like 3 to 4 different locations. So if you're a new model, that's amazing because it really can look like you've done a significant amount of work, or at least more work than just one photo shoot. Like if you've only done one photo shoot ever, that's the best way to do it. And another thing to add to that is I normally try to have the model, like, if you can, adjust your hair, because that's also a telltale sign that everything was done on the same day. And your makeup, if you can. Like I normally say, okay, if we can either go lighter and then go heavier with the makeup later on in the shoot, or even sometimes it depends, but sometimes it's easy enough to just change your lipstick. You change your lipstick, then, especially if it's something that's matching what you're wearing, then it's possible, it's feasible that this was done on a different day, right? So those are great things to really vary your photo session and make you look like you've done more work than you've done. Now, how would you do this in a studio, right? You studio, you got the paper, or whatever the background is. It's like, well, I'm in a studio. Okay. So one, if you're in a studio that has different paper, shoot on a different paper. That's easy enough, right? And also move around the studio. So you got the paper, and there's the lighting, and it makes sense to shoot that way. But then there's also the other way that doesn't have the paper, that might have all the junk and stuff that's in the studio, which could be interesting. If you take a look at it and move some things around and see what you can do. Also, you can go outside of the studio, right? And you're still going to get a different look. You can have something of her coming into the studio through the door. So use the whole environment, so then you get some slightly different looks. And of course, change what the model is wearing, things like that. Add a piece, take off a piece, etc. So those are some really easy ways to make your work kind of stand out and to make you look a little bit more polished. So if you haven't, go to my website, www.asharpphoto.biz. so you can see my work and you can know that I know what I'm talking about. All right, eyes up, stay sharp.